Loan, that is the amount you have to pay in future. So loan taken. Loan, that is the liability. We know that liability when increased, then liability account is credit. So for this transaction we can write, for determining debit and credit, cash account is debit and loan account is credit. Okay, next transaction number 7. Commission received in cash, taka 40,000. Commission received in cash, cash received, cash has come in business. Cash, one kind of asset, that is asset increased. You know that when asset increased, then the respective asset is debited. So for this transaction, cash account is debit, received in cash, or cash received for commission. Cash received for what? Commission. It's another activity, regular activity of business. Received for what? That is the commission. Commission, one kind of regular activity. We know that for receiving any amount of regular activity of business, this may be revenue or income of business. So, revenue or income incurred in business for commission. You know that when revenue or income increased, then the respective revenue account is credit. So for this transaction we can write the debit and credit. Cash account is debit and commission revenue account is. Okay, you can go for the next transaction. Number 8. Cash deposited into bank or bank account. In this transaction, cash deposited into bank or bank account. In this transaction, two accounts are involved. Number 1, cash, another one, bank. Deposited into bank. In any bank, Trust Bank, Sonali Bank, Rupali Bank, Das Bangla Bank, Janata Bank, it doesn't matter. Cash deposited into bank. Bank balance is increased. We know that bank deposited amount is one kind of asset for business. So bank account is increased, that is asset increased. For the transaction, bank account is debit and cash has gone from the business. Cash also one kind of asset. So asset decreased. You know that when asset decrease, then cash asset account is credit. Overall, for this transaction, we can determine debit and credit. Deposited into bank, bank account debit, cash account credit. Okay, next transaction number 9. Withdrew from business by owner taka 2500, that is 2500. Withdrew or drew or took from the business by owner. When any amount drawn, took, or withdrew from business by owner, that is related to equity account. Equity, for this transaction, equity is decreased. At first, you have to know which accounts are involved in this transaction. Equity decreased. For what amount? Drawings. When any amount withdrawing or taking money from business by owner, that is it is equivalent to drawing account. So we know that when equity is decreased, then equity account is debit, so drawings account is debit. From business by owner, taka 2500. Without information. Which item withdrawn? Without information. Cash withdrawn from business in this type of transaction. So cash has gone from the business. Cash account decreased, that is asset decrease. So cash account is credit. For this transaction, we can say that drawings account is debit and cash account is credit. Okay, we can go the last transaction for today. Number 10, rent due or outstanding for the month, taka 8500. Rent due, that is monthly rent is unpaid. When any amount is unpaid, then liability is created in each transaction in any business. So rent due, rent, that is the regular item of expenditure for business. So rent increased, that is expense increased. We know that when expense increased, then expense account is debit, but it unpaid. Unpaid means didn't pay in cash or by check. They have to pay in future for the due amount. So liability is created. We know that when liability is increased, then liability account is credit. For this transaction, we can write rent expense account is debit and rent payable account is credit. You are seeing in the screen, in each and every page or every slide, after the transaction, note is given, and remember only for you, for recovering this transaction. Please read and write attentively. Practice more and more. Please write down in your copy. Okay, today 10 examples are given to my dear students for the betterment of your study and result. I can say that if you are practiced properly and attentively, then you can determine the debit and credit from any transaction, inshallah. That is the system for accounting. Okay, dear boys and girls, again I hope you are fine. Thank you very much. In this situation, stay home, be safe, by the grace of Almighty Allah. Inshallah, we'll come again with taking second lesson. Okay, thanks for being today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.